So perhaps the most important thing you need to do for safety and security on your Mac is to have a backup of your files. A backup is critical if anything should happen to your Mac. For instance, it could be stolen, it could be damaged, it could just break. You would need a way to recover the files. You wouldn't want to lose all of your data, your files, your photos, and other things like that. Having a backup is critical for that. Having a backup that is yours, that is on a local drive that you can get access to no matter what, that's also really critical. So it's not just enough to have your files stored on iCloud. It's also important to have your own backup. In addition, one of the reasons you want to have your own backup is if you make a mistake. The most common reason you'll need your Time Machine backup is not because your Mac broke or was stolen. Well, it was because you made a mistake. But maybe simply because you make a mistake and accidentally delete a file. If you do this, then you can recover that using Time Machine. So this is far more important than anything else. Even if you think all the other stuff is so unlikely that you're not willing to do a backup. It is so easy to accidentally delete a file. So let's take a look at how to get a Time Machine backup going. First thing you need to do is get a Time Machine drive. This could be any kind of external drive you connect to your Mac. For instance, for under $100 you can get some portable drives, which are nice because you don't have to plug them into anything except your Mac. They don't have to be plugged into power separately. For instance, under $100 you can get several good 4 TB drives. If you have a lot more in storage, you may want to get something that plugs into the wall. It's a larger drive, but you can see how for under $300, even closer to $200, you can get 12 or 16 terabytes to back up your data. In general, the rule of thumb is you absolutely want to have nothing smaller than twice the size of your data. So if you have, say, a half a terabyte drive on your Mac and it's mostly used, then you want to make sure you have at least a 1 terabyte drive. But I wouldn't stop there. I would basically only get a 4 terabyte drive minimum since it's really not cost effective to go any smaller than that. But if you have a large drive on your Mac, or maybe you have several external drives attached, you want to at least double that and go higher if you can to get one of these larger drives. The reason you want to do that is because Time Machine is more than just a plain backup. It doesn't just make one copy of all the files you have. It will incrementally back things up. So as you change files, as you add files, delete files, modify files, it saves all of that. So as you use your Mac, the backup will grow larger than the data you have on your drive. So you might have, say, 300 gigabytes of data on your drive, but as you add files, maybe remove some older files, maybe change some files, you could easily have 400, 500, 1 terabyte or more of data on your backup as it's remembering this history. To get to your settings for Time Machine, go into System Settings and then General and then Time Machine. And then this is where your Time Machine settings are. If you don't have Time Machine drive set up, I just have a small one as a tutorial example here, you can click the plus button and then select any drive that's connected to your Mac. So you would get one of those drives, you would connect it to your Mac, and then your next step would be to go here. Sometimes your Mac actually prompts you to see if you want to use a newly attached drive as a Time Machine drive, and then we'll walk you through the steps. You don't have to worry about formatting it in advance. Setting it up as a Time Machine drive will format it for you. It'll also ask you if you want to encrypt the drive, and you could provide a password as well. Under Options, you can set the backup frequency, and you can have it for every hour, day, or week. If you have a desktop Mac like an iMac, a Mac Mini, Mac Studio, you should have it set to every hour. There's no reason to do less. It's only going to back up what has changed, so you might as well have it do lots of small backups and allow you to roll back to a file you may have accidentally deleted an hour or two ago rather than having it do it every day, and then the best you can do is the files you had yesterday. And if you have a MacBook, something that's not always sitting at your desk, you may want to attach that drive to your Mac every night and try to make that a habit so it backs up every night. In that case, it really doesn't matter what you set this to. You can just leave it at every hour because you'll be backing up manually. You have a control here for Time Machine in the menu bar. If you don't see it there, go to Control Center, all the way at the bottom, Time Machine, and set it to Show in Menu Bar. And now using this, you can manually start a backup with Backup Now. So if you have a MacBook and you plug in the backup drive at night. You're going to plug it in anyway to give it power and let it charge its battery up. You plug in the backup drive, and then you could basically, as the last thing you do before you walk away, is set it to backup now, and it will start its backup. Otherwise, if you have it set to backup hourly, it'll take care of it anyway. Now, here's how you use Time Machine. Let's go into a folder here. For instance, let's go into this folder, and I have some files here. And let's say I accidentally delete a file. I've got one here called example document. I will delete it. And now it's gone. And let's say I deleted it, I emptied the trash, and it's gone. Or maybe I did something else. Like I actually opened it up and overwrote what was inside it. I changed what was in there. And now I desperately want to get it back to how it was just an hour ago. Well, with this window open, you go to Browse Time Machine Backups. And notice how this window stays there. But what it does is it shows you previous versions of this folder as changes were made. And you have a button here where you can go back in time. And notice when I go back in time that the contents change. There is that document I'm missing. Now I can click Restore. And it will restore to that location. I've gotten that document back. If it was a document that I changed, I could have had the option to have both documents be there. So I could go look at the old one and the new one, maybe copy and paste between them. So you can see how this could be so critical at saving you there. Anybody that does any amount of work on their computer is going to run into a situation where a backup like this will come in handy. So I urge you to get a backup drive. Use it only for Time Machine. Don't try to use it for other things as well. Just dedicate the entire drive to Time Machine and have it either backing up hourly on a desktop Mac or try to get in the habit of every night plugging it into your MacBook so it can do its backup then.